Hi Anthropology 2300, this is Kirsten, one of your TAs with your video for week 4. Hopefully wherever you're at tonight it's a little bit warmer than it is in Illinois because it's a bit chilly. A couple things to go over with you, some housekeeping items, and then what we're going to be doing in week 4. Hopefully you had a couple of seconds to take a look at a little bit of anthropology humor as well. Okay, for some housekeeping items. First of all, as you know, I am one of your TAs for those students who have the last name A through LI, and Brett Davis is the TA for students who have the last name LO through Z. What our role is as teaching assistants is to help you if you have any questions or any concerns about things that are going on in the course. For example, if you're having any issues with understanding the material, with accessing the quizzes, the discussions, please send an email to your appropriate TA and we will be able to help you. You can email us by clicking on email in Blackboard and it will be sent to us and we will help you as soon as we can. The next item is for the discussions, and I know Brett talked about this a little bit last week, and we both noticed that the discussions for Waters and Sandal this week were quite a bit more detailed than in the prior week, which is great. Just keep up the good work with that. And I know it could probably sound like a little bit of a broken record for some of you, but just remember the 3 full sentences. Things such as I agree or that's great are really more of a declarative statement than a sentence. So it's okay to say those things, but elaborate on those with those 3 sentences and really try to make a connection to the material, and that should help make the discussion postings a little bit easier and a little bit more enjoyable for you. The third item is contacting the help desk. If you are having any problems with Blackboard, please take a print screen. You can do that by clicking the print screen option on your keyboard and then either saving that as a JPEG or you can paste it into a Word document. It's really important to do this, especially if you're taking quizzes, so that we know if there's a problem with Blackboard and so that we can take care of it for you. The help desk will give you a ticket, and once you have that ticket you can then contact either Brett or me and we will take care of the issue for you. But it's really hard for us to help if we don't have that help desk information. Okay, going on to the next item, this week's annual edition articles. One of them is by Monaghan Just, A Dispute in the Dongo, Fieldwork and Ethnography. And when we were talking earlier this week, meaning Brett, Dr. Squires, and I, we were talking about how to make the discussion postings a little more engaging for you. And the second thing was some people, when it comes to the online learning environment, have a hard time trying to frame what they're trying to say or how to answer discussion postings. So we thought going forward we would try to give you some discussion prompts that might help you make a little bit more connection to the reading and then also make it a little bit easier for you to frame how you want to respond. So starting this week, you're going to see between 3 and 4 questions in each of the discussion posting areas. You just need to respond to one of them. Okay, so for Monaghan Just, the first one is what criteria do you believe are necessary to be a successful ethnographer? How do your criteria compare to Just experiences with the Dongo? Okay, so you're going to be relating back to the article when you answer that question. Or you could choose option 2. Explain whether you believe extensive fieldwork is necessary in order to understand another culture. There are some people today who believe because of globalization that extensive fieldwork or participant observation isn't as necessary as it was in the past. How do you feel about stuff like this? And Just also does touch on that briefly. Question 3 is when doing a cross-cultural study, is it possible to remain objective? Explain why or why not. Just talks about this in the article when he witnesses several different events and he puts his own interpretation on it based on his own experiences. Now all of us, when we go into any kind of situation, we're all kind of framed by our own biases based on our personal background and experiences. Now is it possible to keep those totally in the background when you're studying somebody else, or do elements of that come through? So explain why or why not that would be the case. Now question 4 is a bit of a connection to today's question. And what you would need to do is think of a culture or group that you're interested in studying or doing an ethnography on, and how would you go about doing it? So for example, your area of interest, how would you pick that? How would you develop your relationship, and how would you go about studying them? So that's really, kind of your own opinion, but kind of going higher level with the material from this week. So again, just pick one of those 4 for Monaghan Just. Okay, then for Sterk, her article is Tricking and Tripping, Fieldwork on Prostitution in the Era of AIDS. There are 3 questions, just again choose one for her. The first one is describe the methods that Sterk used to build relationships with the prostitutes that she studied. Some people might think some of these were controversial methods. Others might think, well, how else would she get to know the information she was researching? Second question is, as an ethnographer, did Sterk have any ethical obligations to intervene in protecting the women she was researching? Why or why not? The article talks about witnessing unsafe sex, it talks about drugs. At what point do you think anthropologists need to get involved, or do they at all? Just explain your answer. Then the third one is, do you believe that Sterk's gender played a role in whether she was successful or not in conducting her ethnography? For example, did the fact that she was a woman make it easier for her to relate to the women she was interviewing? Why or why not? Okay, those are your questions for this week, and we will see you on the discussion board. Have a great week.